Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinars, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key of enhancing our performances and for our growth as professionals. With this principle in mind, TechGig has initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give a crisp insight of various domains. Topic for today's webinar is Agile Methods and Approaches, a Perspective. We are delighted to have Mr. Niranjan NV, founder, Agile Coach at Excel Plus Services with us today. Niranjan is a postgraduate from IIT Mumbai and has around 17 years of professional experience and 2.5 years as a consultant in Agile consulting and training, software estimation, project management, etc. He has extensive implementation experience in Agile Scrum, PMMI, and SQL processes. Niranjan is a founder of the Excel Plus services. He is a PMI certified, Agile certified practitioner, certified Scrum practitioner, and certified Scrum master. Gentlemen, this presentation will continue for next 45 minutes and we will take your questions after the presentation. In the meanwhile, you can post your queries to the chat pane available in the webinar software. Without further ado, I introduce you to our guest speaker, Mr. Niranjan.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Niranjan. We can hear you. Please continue.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I welcome you all for this session on Agile methods and approaches. I thank you, TechGig, for providing me an opportunity in sharing this knowledge. So, the topic of today's session is what are Agile methods and approaches that is being used, and what is the different perspective on these methods and where these are applicable and how to choose these methods. To tell a little bit about myself, I think there is an introduction has been already given, so I think I would like to skip this and straight away go to the topic. Today's session has been structured with start with why there is, first of all, agility. What is the necessity for Agile in the business, and what is the business case for agility? So we'll discuss a little bit upon that, and then we'll discuss how Agile approach is different from a traditional approach, and what are the core values of Agile, what needs to be followed during the adoption of Agile in the software development scenario, and what are certain key benefits of Agile, and why the person or anybody would adopt Agile from traditional approach. And then we'll also discuss a little bit upon where this Agile is being applied right now. So current applicability of Agile in the industry, and then we'll come to the main topic of what are the different frameworks in Agile and what are the approaches followed. So this will be more on an overview of all these frameworks, where I'll touch upon a little bit on Scrum and what is the essence of Scrum, essence of XP, where Scrum is applicable, XP is applicable, and then we'll touch upon a little bit on Kanban and Lean Agile. These two methodologies are gaining more popularity and getting acceptance in software industry, and what are certain key things that are important in these methodologies in which can be applied in software industry. So then my session will end with the variation in different Agile methods and how to select a different approach. If you look at the way in which the business is changing today and way in which the business was quite some years back. There's a lot of rapidness in the business, okay, and the markets are highly dynamic, and end users expectations are changing, and end users requires more than their basic needs from the products and services. Let's take an example of phones. So if you take phones, and we had mobile phones 10-15 years back. So this picture shows the type of phones we had 10-15 years back, and let's look at how the business is changing and how the rapidness in the business is happening in this area. Let's look at the latest mobile phones. If you look at the latest mobile phones, so apart from basic need, the basic functionality of a mobile phone is to listen, okay, and communicate. But if you look at the latest mobile phones, there's so many, apart from basic functionality, there's so many other features and functionalities are getting supported and provided by the phones being used in the currently. So markets are changing and they're very dynamic. It is not the way it was, and the pace in which the industry is growing and end users needs are changing is rapid. Let's take some more examples. TV industry. So if you look at the TV industry, so what kind of TVs we had 10-15 years back, and what kind of TVs we have of the latest TVs we have. And if you look at the latest TVs what we have and the kind of TVs we had 15 years back, the basic, again going back to the same fundamental meaning, the basic functionality of TV is to view. But if you look at the latest TVs, apart from viewing, there's so many additional functionalities, and the way in which the activity is viewed is different. That means, what does it mean? The end users' needs are changing very fast. End users are not just interested only in viewing. Apart from that, they need more and more additional things from the products and services what they use. Let's take some other example. Banking industry. In the banking industry, this is the picture which shows quite some time back how the banking industry, the business was being done in the banking industry. But if you look at the changing times, we can see how the business of doing banking in the banking industries are changing. So we never have to go to the banks physically. We can do so many things today without going to the bank, and hardly we need to go to bank except for few visits. So if you look at the way the technology and the way the end users needs are changing, is we can do the banking on mobile phones. We can do banking on internet. It's not simply doing a basic transaction of banking. Apart from that, we can do so many other features. If you look at the screen here, apart from personal banking, we can do so many other things by sitting it in from a place, from our home or from our office. So why all these things are happening? That means there is a lot of rapidness in the business changes. The business is growing rapidly, and markets are driven by this business changes rapidity. So how the one has to adapt to the changing customer needs, changing end users needs. The industries which produce product and services are driven by the need for agility to respond effectively to these changes. Then only these industries can aspire to respond in real time, and then if they have to respond in real time, they have to be agile when it is needed. So after all, agile means what? It tells about agility in response for the change. So the industries, coming to the software industry, whatever software is written into the products which is being delivered to the market, they have to be delivered frequently based on the market needs, based on the customer needs. It's not the way in which we used to interact quite some time back. So we used to get the requirements, and the requirements never used to change. We had ample time for doing designing, we had ample time to do coding, testing, and we had a fixed release line, and we had ample time to release, and the changes were not so rapid. But that kind of scenarios are very, very remote by looking at the kind of examples in the industries that we discussed. So organizations had to be more and more agile in order to meet these kind of changes, these kind of end users needs. So the organizations have to be deliver the software, produce and deliver the software based on the market needs. So that is one of the core reasons why agility is very, very important. And apart from that, the time to market in which the software has to be delivered also is it's not like we have ample time to wait. There's a lot of competition in the industry. You can look at how many types of mobile phones gets released in a month from various competitors, how many type of TVs gets released in a month in various types of competitors. So every competitor needs to have a competitive edge in his product, otherwise he will not stay in the competition. So that means the time to market is also very, very less. So you have to deliver the feature that is suits to the market. So all these things are possible only if the organizations aspire, and organizations have the ability to be agile. So coming to the business case for agile, what is different in agile methods? Traditional methods, they are more of process centric. So their example, the requirements have to be captured and it has to be written in a document form, and till the requirement phase is over and it is signed off with the customer, then the team will not go to the next phase. So unless you follow the process, you will not be able to deliver the product. So entire software development is dictated by a more process-driven approach. Whereas in agile, it changes the face of the software development. It gives more focus to the people over processes. That means there is more emphasis on people compared to processes. That does not mean at the same time there are no processes. Actually, without process nothing will happen. But only thing, the rigor in which the process is followed is given less emphasis, more emphasis given into the people. That means the entire team is working on a particular goal, and if they are interacting on each other on daily basis, if there is a groupware type of work involved, then if the people are communicating, interacting frequently, then they will be able to understand what needs to be done rather than interpreting from the documents what is expected. That is one. Coming to the other aspects. So just now I talked about ROI and time to market. So ROI means return of investment. So any investor who invests in a product who invest money in the product, he or she wants to see the return of investment as early as possible. So anybody would like to not simply invest in a money without return of investment, quicker return of investment. And the whatever product that gets released, the time to market also has to be quick. So from the changing business needs. So these things are specifically become very well achieved in Agile with the help of incremental working software. So because we develop incremental working software, we deliver the software, working software in increments rather than developing all the features and combining them and delivering those features, clubbing entire features, integrating and delivering in the end, which would be quite late. So that way, if you look at the traditional approach, where suppose in a waterfall approach, we will deliver everything in the end. And the time required to deliver everything in the end is much, much longer than you deliver a working feature as and when it is developed. So that way, the time to market is reduced, and because time to market is reduced, that feature can be released to the market as early as possible. And because it is released to the market as early as possible, the return of investment is quicker in Agile methods. Customers, especially in the case of offshore development, as customers do not frequently be in front of the development team, they will be uncertain about quality, productivity, and turnaround time. They see a risk in whether the team is going to adhere to the quality and whether the team will be releasing on time, productive, and the turnaround time of the team is sticking to the product roadmap. So in Agile, what happens is this risk is completely mitigated with the help of customer collaboration. In Agile method, it helps customers to build trust and confidence because customer is the part of the team. It's not mere involvement, it is more of a collaboration. So it's not like I say, you guys have to do this, this is my expectation. That is more of a traditional approach. Whereas in Agile, the customer is not simply just by saying what he wants. At the same time, customer gets involved throughout the journey of the product, throughout the journey of the delivery, right from initiation up to the release, so that he is involved and he is frequently available for any kind of clarifications and any kind of queries, any kind of questions from the team, and he or she participates throughout the journey of the product. So because the customer collaboration is more in Agile, even the team, the clarity about the requirements, clarity about what needs to be developed for the customer, there is a much higher clarity in the team, and the team interacts with customers on daily basis. Because of that, the risks in quality and risks in productivity and turnaround time gets highly mitigated, and they deliver this working software in increments, and they take the feedback from the customer, so that way customer can also see what is good, what is whether the team has adhered to the customer's expectation. So that is on customers aspect. So that's why some additional things why Agile methods are successful today is they stresses heavily on customer satisfaction. They emphasize more on teamwork. So most of the development is done in a group. It focuses more on groupware style development. It hardly any silos based approach is done. The chances of silos based approach is the person will be may not be sure what he or she is going to deliver. When the groupware style development is happening, the person's uncertainty gets reduced because the entire team is going on a single goal, and entire team is moving in a single goal. So that's another advantage of groupware style development, and especially in Agile, the groupware style development is very, very high. The hardly individual goals are there, more of a team goals, and entire team works for the team goals, what is needed for the customer, what is needed for the business, what value the feature adds to the business. So that will be their goal rather than the individual goals. And because Agile programmers, they communicate with the customers and fellow programmers quite regularly, it instills confidence in them, and even the requirements are changing, and the later part of their life cycle, it won't be a chaos or it won't be a surprise to the team. So they'll be able to absorb these changes in a much better way, because they would have already anticipated, they would have already known the type of changes that would come the later part of the life cycle. So that way it won't create the impact like in traditional development. If any change comes, what happens in traditional development is whole plan has to be changed, and all the artifacts related to whatever artifacts have been created had to be changed because of the change request. So more and more change requests, it will create a lot of chaos in the traditional type of development, which would not be there in Agile development. So these are certain things which helps us to know what is the business case for Agile. If you look at traditional approach, quickly summarizing what is traditional approach. We do everything big bang approach. We do requirements in one shot. All requirements we do it, and until we finish the requirements gathering and freeze the requirements and signed off with a customer, we will not go to the next phase called design. After requirements are frozen, then we get into the design. And again, when moment we are in the design, we do everything big bang, big bang approach, coming out with high level architecture, detailed design, do the design reviews and freeze the design, and then after the design document are frozen and signed off with the necessary stakeholders, then we get into the development. And again, after the development is done, they get to go to the testing and fix the bugs. And every phase-wise approach has got certain job functions, requirements done by requirements engineer or business analyst, design handled by architects and designers, developments, testing, rework as handled by specific job function. Okay, and if you look at, everything is linear and they're all sequential phases, and it's a waterfall. Unless the previous phase is over, we'll not start the next phase. And because of this, we deliver everything in the end, and the feedback is only we get in the end. We can deliver whatever we want to deliver, we can deliver only in the end. What happens in Agile approach? As Agile is incremental and iterative software development, we don't do anything big bang. We take a particular feature, let's say feature A. So how do we select feature A? Feature A is selected based on the business value it adds to the customer. Example, if you take an ATM software, we have different functionalities, like one is withdrawing cash. We have other supporting functionalities like withdrawing the transferring the funds, ordering the checkbook, things like that. So, but if I ask anyone, or if I ask you, if from the business point of view, which is the most important feature which is needed right now, anybody would say that withdrawing cash is a feature that is needed from the business point of view. So we select a feature such a way that which has got highest business value to the customer, which is needed right now, without which the business cannot run. So we we ask the customer, what is the feature? Can you tell which feature you would need from the business point of view, which would add value? So we take that feature and we will not think about other features in detail. That doesn't mean that we are not aware of other features. We will be aware of other features, but we will not get into the details of other feature. Right now, the focus is only on feature A. So we understand the feature, gather what is feature A is supposed to do, design, develop the feature, make the feature A working, test it, and show it to the customer. Get the feedback from the customer whether the working feature A is really working as per his expectations. So after the feature A, working feature A is shown to the customer, then only we go to the next feature. We take the feedback for the feature A, and if customer says go ahead, we will go ahead to the next feature, or sometimes customer may accept with certain open issues. So after the customer feedback is taken, then the exit point for feature A, after the customer feedback, we start the feature B. So in feature B again, the same thing, the same cycle. We design the feature A, and understand feature A, design, develop, make the feature A working, and show it to the customer. So like that, feature by feature, we take based on the order of importance. So feature B is the next order of importance compared to this feature A. So this order of importance, the priority of the features from the business point of view, has to be provided by the customer, and based on the customer's priority, we develop those features. And there will be a single team which does all the activities of requirements, designing, development, and testing. There won't be a separate groups like development teams, testing teams, development groups, testing groups, QA groups, not like that. So everybody is focused towards the team goal, and everybody's focus is to make the feature working feature and show it to the customer in agreed time. So what are the benefits of this approach? Since we are able to deliver the feature much earlier, and we are showing the working feature, the risks involved in that particular feature is mitigated in much early, and visibility of that activity, the progress of the software development, progress of the way in which the team is going is visible much early rather than showing in the end. Because of early feedback and user engagement, the adaptation to the feedback from the customer and to meet the needs of the various stakeholders is much better. And the complexity, suppose you take all the features and start implementing in the implementation phase, the complexity gets higher, the complexity becomes bigger. So by breaking the complexity into smaller complexity, we are reducing the complexity when we are showing the working feature as and when it is developed. Then learning. As and when each feature is developed and shown to the customer, the team can take or reflect upon how they did their work. Did they face any pitfalls? What are the things that did not go well? What are things that went well? So what are the things that have to be tried and improved in the next approach? So that way learning is much faster, and it is done at every iterations when the features are shown to the customer. So that's the main difference between the agile approach and traditional approach. So going to the next slide. So this slide talks about different agile methodologies that are in widespread use today. So if you look at under agile umbrella, we have Scrum. Scrum is one methodology which many of you would be knowing. Extreme programming, FDD, feature driven development, DSDM, Lean. Lean is taken from the manufacturing industries. RUP is modified into Agile Unified Process, many more. Okay, so more and more methods are becoming in a widespread use today. So what are the key benefits of these Agile methods? Apart from the Agile approach what we discussed. The business value is, when I say business value, when a particular feature is developed and made working and given to the customer will get some business value in terms of money. So that means a feature A, he releases to the market, he gets a money from that feature. So that is what we call it business value. So business value in traditional approach is only realized in the end. So let's say we have 6 months time for development. Till we develop and release the software and show it to the customer, the business value is not realized. Till then it is a flat. It's month 1, month 2, month 3, and like that. Only in the end, when we do a testing and fix the bugs, that much the business value is realized. Whereas in Agile, moment the particular feature is made working and shown to the customer, that much business value is realized. Again, the next set of feature is made working and shown to the customer, again that much business value is realized. So that way the business value, as and when the feature is made working, is realized much shorter. That is the reason we can conclude that return of investment and time to market are much quicker and faster in Agile methods. Uncertainties and risks in both the methods. Let's see in waterfall approach what happens is, since we don't do any testing in the initial phases, we do the testing and fix the bugs, and when we deliver the software with the expected quality, that much risk and all the uncertainties involved is reduced. Whereas in Agile, moment the feature is made working and working feature is shown to the customer, that much uncertainty and risk is reduced. Again, the next feature like this, the uncertainties and risk also gets reduced as and when the features, working features are shown to the customer. If we look at where the Agile methods is currently being used, so Agile methods are used for large-scale enterprise software projects, consumer software products, and even FDA kind of software development where the systems are highly available, like 99.9%, let's say high reservation system, banking application, things like that, financial payment applications, log database application, embedded systems, even more high maturity organizations like CMMI, level 5 organizations, and where it is located at different locations, and sustenance projects, maintenance projects. Even there have been case studies that Agile methods are used in non-software projects because of the benefits that we discussed so far. So coming to the next part of the session is on Agile methods and approaches. We will first discuss on Scrum methodology a little bit. What is the essence of Scrum and what are the key advantages of Scrum and what are the things that you need to take care while adopting the Scrum. If you look at the Scrum team always move as one unit. If you look at these pictures on the left hand side, so they're all sequential progress and the roles are not clearly mentioned here. The accountability and ownership issues are there when the roles are not clearly defined. Okay, and whereas here, since entire team move as one unit, the accountability is entire team is accountable, and ownership entire ownership lies with the entire team. It's not that one person is away from the team's way of working. So everybody move as one unit. The essence of Scrum is whatever activities in Scrum, that they are all planned in a time box, and whatever features or requirements that needs to be adhered, that will be delivered at the end. Based on the acceptance to the customer, they will be delivered at the end of the time box. So whatever the Scrum team is going to do, they will put their activities in the time box. Normally this time box will vary from 1 to 4 weeks. So that means they will not go more than 4 weeks. There won't be any working software that gets extended beyond 4 weeks. If at all they have to deliver something working within this time box between 1 to 4 weeks. Okay. So in order to do that, the Scrum team, first they commit what they want to deliver at the end of the time box. And once they commit, they start working in the time box, and in the end they deliver the working software, which will be inspected by the customer, and the feedback, whatever the customer gives, is taken and adapted in the subsequent time box. One important thing is the team will not get impacted from the changes what customer gives. So how means, if any change comes when the team is working in the time box, those changes will be taken only those changes will not be entertained, and they will be only incorporated in the subsequent time box. So that way, whatever team has committed, they will not get disturbed from their commitment. And if any change customer wants to give, we will not say that you please don't give the changes. Of course you can give the changes, but we will incorporate only in the subsequent time boxes. So that's the essence of Scrum. And any learnings in each time box is taken as learnings and adapted in the subsequent time boxes. So normally the Scrum team will be 7 members, -2 and +2, and as I said, the duration of the iteration will be 1 to 4 weeks. At the end of the iteration, they will deliver something working software. Okay, so it has, which is shippable, and all the requirements comes from the person called product owner, who takes the inputs from various stakeholders and comes out with prioritized list of requirements, which is called as product backlog. And these requirements will be in the form of user stories. The user stories are a smaller requirements, and they won't be a bigger requirements like use cases. There will be smaller functionalities or smaller work which adds value to the customer when they are delivered. So, and all the requirements are split in the form of user stories, and the product backlog is prioritized from the top user story to the last user story. And by default, the team has to deliver the first user story in the first iteration. In Scrum, we call it a sprint. Okay, and the team selects how much they can do in this from the product backlog, how many user stories they can take based on their velocity, and they comes out with the tasks that are needed to implement that user story, like designing requirements and gathering, designing, coding, testing, unit testing, regression testing, things like that. They identify the task, allocate the responsibilities, and identify how much time each task in terms of hours would take, and they will have a sprint plan ready. They will do a iteration sprint planning in the beginning of the sprint, and once the sprint plan is ready, they start working, and at the end of the sprint they will deliver working software, which will be reviewed by the product owner and his team. And product owner will review whether the team is adhering to his expectations, and if it is not, then the inputs are given to the team which will be adhered, which will be implemented in the subsequent sprints. And every day there will be 15 minutes daily stand-up meetings where every team member in Scrum they present and discuss 3 things. Each team member has to report just 3 things rather than discussing everything. He has to just report what he did from yesterday to today, and second, what is he going to do from today to tomorrow. The third, is there anything blocking for today to tomorrow to accomplish his work. So these 3 things has to be reported by each and every team member in the daily stand-up meeting, which helps team to take the stock of the situation and to know any impediments for the days of work for that day. And entire Scrum is more, entire development in Scrum is moderated and facilitated by a person called Scrum Master. So this is about Scrum. So what are the benefits of Scrum? Advantage of Scrum is because we deliver something working software at the end of the sprint, we are delivering to the product owner what are the functions that have got value to the customer. Then focus is more on team communications, okay, rather than following one person following a heavy written document approach. So because team is communicating each other on daily basis, everybody is in sync with each other. So the focus on team communication is very, very high. Because the frequent demonstration is happening and early feedback from stakeholders is taken, so that if the particular feature is not adhering to certain expectation, that open issues can be taken in the subsequent sprint and corrected. The teamwork, the spirit of the team is high, and the team gets the sense of accomplishment because they commit what they want to deliver at the end of the sprint. So what are the things that one has to remember when the Scrum is being used in the software development is, please, one should not think that sprint is a mini waterfall. So what is mini waterfall? It's like doing all requirements, design, implementation, testing in a mini waterfall approach. That means again doing in a sequential phase. So sprint is not like that. You don't do again requirements, design, implementation, testing sequentially. Everything is done concurrently on daily basis. So that is one thing. And whatever that is given to the customer must have expected quality and should demonstrate value to the product owner. The next, as and when in each sprint the team is delivering user stories, there are chances of open issues getting piled up. So the technical debt has to be taken care, and the defect buildup, the technical debt should not get increased as you go to the subsequent sprints. So that care has to be taken care. Okay, and how the user stories in smaller value, making the requirements in smaller portion is something sometimes it's challenging, and that is a little bit an experience that comes by practicing more and more Scrum. And every sprint should have requirement, design, development, and testing activities. You are not supposed to split these activities across the sprints. Extreme programming. Extreme programming is another methodology used since quite some time back. Okay, so it is based on the principle that whatever you do, and if you find it is best, use it quite frequently. So that's why it is called extreme. So it's a collection of best practices, and here it focuses more on technical practices. Extreme programming was there even before the Scrum was being used, and it focuses more on engineering practices. So any development team, if they want to reap the benefits of both project management and engineering, both should be used in together in a combined way, whereas extreme programming focuses more on technical practices and Scrum focuses more on project management best practices. So this is a recommended approach. So it has 12 practices suitable for small teams, experts, customers, negotiate all the requirement negotiation stories, for team and but the teams are every year and DMs on operation. If you look at the practices or planning game, sustainable pace, the team has to go in sustainable pace. There has to be collective ownership, adherence to the coding standards, continuous integration has to happen. Okay, the design has to be driven using metaphor, and development has to be used using test-driven approach, and do what is the team feels simple rather than adopting everything in one shot. Keep on removing the duplicate codes using refactoring approach, so that your maintenance the code becomes much easier, and do the programming in pair and on-site customers, and provide do whatever you release, release it in smaller releases. So these are some 12 practices used in XP. I'll take up the questions in the Q&A sessions. So first I would suggest we will finish the presentation. So when do you choose the extreme programming? You choose the extreme programming when you have loosely defined and requirements are volatile. Requirements cannot be defined and they are very loosely defined. And next is when team wants to have strong engineering skills. Team feels the necessity of strong engineering skills. Then they want to improve. They can go and adopt. They start learning, use extreme programming and strengthen their engineering skills. When there is involvement of the customer on daily basis, extreme programming expects on-site customers. So that it expects customers' involvement on daily basis, and it is suitable for small teams and small teams which are more flexible, and it is always easy to adapt to the smaller teams rather than a team which consists of 50 and 100 people. And extreme programming requires strong commitment from the top management, including customers. Certain things like pair programming, these practices require additional headcounts. So pair programming has to be done by additional person. So the management has to be committed to provide these additional resources. Apart from that, there are some extreme programming practices which has to be followed in a disciplined way. So the proper support from the executives, the top management, senior management has to be there for the development team. Coming to other methods which are used currently and becoming more and more popular. One is Kanban. This Kanban is actually come from the Toyota best practices. The best practices. It's basically what it means is it's a sort of a visual board. What it means is when work is in progress in the manufacturing floor, some of the inventory items will be waiting and they will get piled up. So more and more inventory items gets piled up on the shop floor. It is waste. So you should not have excess inventory. You should have just enough inventory what is necessary to build the particular product, let's say build a car. Okay. And also the time spent in producing that excess inventory could be used somewhere else. So the Kanban, what it tells is it limits your work in progress. It tells you limit the items what is necessary and pull them as and when you need it. Don't keep everything in stock and use them. Only just in time delivery, just in time what is needed, you use it for your activities. What is the main advantage in software development? Why this Kanban is becoming popular in software development is there are some I don't say disadvantage, some amount of constraints, sometimes limitations in time boxed iterations like extreme programming and Scrum methodologies. Because the short time box iterations need to be short. You cannot have anything more than 4 weeks. Whatever you plan has to be within 1 and 4 weeks. And if particular feature or certain things has to be delivered beyond 4 weeks, either it has to be broken and split into smaller functionalities. Sometimes some feature could be such that it is so complex, the team may not be able to split it to fit inside the time box. So in that case, the time box cannot be extended and the feature will take more time. So making the smaller the feature in the time box iteration becomes difficult. It has some challenge. Okay, so thinking the development items to be small is one of the challenges in time boxed iterations. And what happens is in time boxed iteration, because the software has to be working and the working software has to be demonstrated at the end of the sprint. So there are chances testers race in the later stages of the development time and quality might get suffered. So the Kanban approach drops the time boxed iteration and it favors the focus on continuous flow. There will be a continuous flow. Till you finish the activity, you will not stop. You don't bother about a 1 week, 4 week iteration and split your feature. Whatever amount that feature, whatever time it takes, you go in that flow and you focus more on workflow rather than time box iterations. So to tell Kanban in nutshell, first of all you have to visualize the workflow. That means split your work into pieces. Write each item on a card. You have a Kanban cards. These are all Kanban cards. You write on each Kanban card what you are supposed to do. Whether the item is in analysis phase, the item is in development phase, item is in testing phase. You put those cards under different workflow state. And what the main thing you have to do is you have to limit these cards. These are the cards which are under work in progress. So you keep controlling the cards such that you deliver, let us say you take a user story, the time taken for analysis, development, testing, deployment, and the moment it is done, the time you control the lead time by limiting limiting your work in progress. More number of things are waiting here and you are working on more ongoing items. Your completion of each user story gets increased. So that way your lead time becomes longer. So what Kanban tells is you identify or limit your work in progress such that you pull only the items as and when they want, and you identify the work in progress items, the number of work in progress items, so that your lead time becomes shorter. So that is the main meaning, the essence of Kanban. So what normally you do in software development is you identify user stories like the way you identify in Scrum, and you write the goals of user story. How many? Is there any non-functional requirements, and what is the feature, and how many days this user story should get completed, and keep moving the user stories. How many user stories under analysis stage, and how many user stories are there in development stage, or you can even have a tasks for each user story and keep moving them. And only thing is you have to limit your WIP such that your lead time becomes effective. So that limiting WIP comes by experience. So you don't wait and deliver something in the time box iteration. Till you finish the user story and till they reach the done stage, you will measure that lead time, and then keep reducing the lead time between two successive user stories. So when do you apply Kanban in software? Scrum and XP have more rules to follow, whereas Kanban has less rules to follow. Whereas Scrum and XP has more prescriptive, Kanban is less prescriptive. Okay, but only thing you should not, it should not drive you that, you know, since Kanban is less rules, there are no specific too many process discipline has to be ensured. We can do whatever we can do. So that compilation is important than doing something with the time box. Time should move out of Kanban. Example support in where you have tickets. The ticket, when you resolve ticket, different criticality of the tickets like L1, L2, L3. So depending on the criticality of the ticket, the time take to deliver ticket also changes. So you can have a fixed time for all the tickets. So you can you think of using Kanban in some environment that whatever time it takes to measure time and limit your work in progress and control.
Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah.
Your voice is breaking a lot.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Sorry.
Your voice is breaking a lot. So we are getting feedback from attendees also that they are not able to hear you properly.
Are you not able to hear? Is it breaking a lot?
Yeah, they are not able to hear you properly. Yeah, it's breaking a lot.
Hello?
Can you please check the mic?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Hello, yeah, it seems better now.
Yeah, can I proceed now?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, fine. So if you look at this picture, RUP, you can see how much it is prescriptive. There are some 120 rules to follow in RUP. So the same thing gets reduced in XP, Scrum. So progressively, in XP it is much lesser, Scrum is even lesser, Kanban it is even lesser. Okay, so RUP is more prescriptive and Kanban is towards, it is more adaptive. So you should not get driven by the situation that, you know, you adapt Kanban because it is too much flexible. It's not like that. So you have to use a balanced approach when you are adopting Kanban. And additional things when Kanban can be applied. Kanban can be applied even when you have less people in small projects, like whereas Scrum expects 7 people, and +2 or -2. Whereas Kanban, even there are less than 7 people, even 2, 3 people, 4 people are there, you can adopt Kanban. So it does not specify how many number of people have to be there in the team. Whereas Scrum, the minimum size of the team members is 7, either +2 or -2 can be based on the project characteristics. And as I discussed, Scrum, because the Kanban is more suitable in the support environment where you have more number of tickets and also less people are involved. So you don't have to always think of identifying some people and like Scrum. So whoever is there who are working on support issues, they can focus on the optimum workflow by limiting their work in progress. The key thing in Kanban is you are limiting work in progress items. So that is very, very important. So how do you manage your work in progress? How many items you limit and pull the items as and when you want? That decides your lead time of the issues that you address. Coming to the Lean Agile. Lean Agile is again becoming more popular. Basically, it is taken from manufacturing principle. The lean principles from manufacturing is applied in software. So if you look at the waterfall, everything is done in the end, and iterative is everything is delivered in different iteration. Whereas Scrum, the user stories are developed and delivered in sprints. Lean, the main advantage of Lean is it focuses on any kind of feature which are marketable, with minimum marketable feature which has got sense to the users, and deploy as and when they are needed. So that way the focus on product management with software development is much higher. I'll be discussing that in the subsequent slides. So what are the lean principles applied in software development? So these are 7 principles. Eliminate waste. How do you do that? You don't do any unnecessary code. Okay, remove the delay in software development, unclear requirements. So removing the bureaucracy, all that is reduced by applying lean principles. Learning, how Amplify learning is adopted. You simplify requirements gathering in the screens and use short iteration cycles and get the feedback rather than developing the heavy process documents. The third principle, decide as late as possible. That means you don't make the decision immediately. Sometimes you wait till facts, you get more facts, and you take the decision based on the facts. There's something called responsible moment. You wait till the last responsible moment and you delay your decisions and deliver the functionalities based on the facts rather than doing everything in big bang approach. Delivering as fast as possible. How it is achieved in Agile Lean, how this Lean principle is applied in software is always we deliver in a shorter intervals and feedbacks received, and whatever feedback is given by the product owner is incorporated in the next iteration. That way the time to market is faster. Empowerment to the team. Here the command and control approach is reduced and the team is more of self-organizing, and you find the people and they decide what needs to be delivered and what needs to be best according to their capability, and they remove the impediments within the team, and the micromanaging of the team gets reduced. That way the project manager's job, the way in which the project manager works also will change in Agile. So building integrity. How do you build integrity? Because in Agile you ensure entire thing is automated, and automated building and integration happens. The tests are executed using an automated suite. And see the whole is optimizing the whole. You always think big, have a big picture in your mind, but always deliver something small. And if you want to fail fast, learn rapidly from your failures. So these are certain things. These are things that are applied from lean principles, how these lean principles are applied in software development. What is some basic thing why this lean agile is suitable is this is very suitable for enterprise kind of situation. The enterprise agility becomes effective in lean agile, whereas Scrum is caught in the industry, but when it comes to the scaling to the enterprise level, when large number of teams are used there, and if it has to be driven from the enterprise, then Scrum has got certain challenges. So whereas lean agile is driven from the holistic point of view, rather than building everything from pieces, it is driven from the enterprise view. So that way, the balance of optimizing the whole and team, respecting the team becomes, it provides a guidance for these two lean principles. Let us quickly see what are the certain things that change in lean agile. In lean agile, for enterprise agility, it requires, example, your product enhancement. Product enhancements can come from different product lines, whereas in Scrum, it's specifically suitable for that particular project and that particular release. Whereas in enterprise level, the product enhancement can come from any product line, and as and when there is a demand, that has to be taken care, and that has to be the development team, the agile team has to be in sync with different product enhancements from different product lines. And Scrum, there's one person called product owner, whereas in reality, you will not have one person. There will be different product managers who work for different products. So the entire product portfolio has to be managed, and all these product managers have to work together for the success of the product. Between different groups in the development organizations, because of enterprise agility, the lean agile provides effective means both within the organization and outside the organization. And the integration of development groups and QA groups to increase the effectiveness of software and quality of the software, so that your rework is reduced. So that becomes effective in lean agile. You can still use the Scrum or agile principles, but at the same time use lean to integrate development team and the QA team in an effective way. So in summary, to sum up the whole thing, I am enumerating certain factors and how they are used in different team. So if you think of a team, keeping the team intact, in XP Scrum it is more prescribed. It clearly tells how it has to be, entire team has to be kept intact. Whereas Scrum, Lean or Kanban, Lean thinking does not provide any guidance on how to keep the team intact. Time boxed intervals in XP and Scrum and Scrum Lean is done, whereas in Kanban there are no time boxed intervals. User stories, prioritizing the user stories in XP, Scrum, Scrum Lean is done, whereas in Kanban user stories are not prioritized. It is more on the pull system. And when do you release the completed work? In XP, Scrum and Scrum Lean, you deliver at the end of the selected iteration. Whereas in Kanban, it is the discretion of the team when to release the work, or the completed work. Working in support environment, XP, Scrum, Scrum Lean does not provide adequate support, whereas Kanban and Lean thinking provides effective support in provide effective means the support environment. Co-located team, when the teams are working together, how they had to work on the guidance of the team. In XP Scrum does not have any prescribed guidance, whereas in Scrum Lean it tells whatever you do, do it in fast, flexible flow to create your workflow in an optimal state. And in Kanban, you manage all your work using appropriate WAP limits. Support for the product management, XP does not provide anything. Scrum does not provide any support in product management, whereas Scrum Lean, because it's Agile Lean, it provides good support for product management group, the business and development team, the good alignment is there. Kanban provides partial support. Again, Lean thinking provides good support. Code quality, coming to extreme programming focuses very much about code quality. Scrum does not tell anything how to perform, how to make good quality code. Scrum Lean uses a workflow. It emphasizes use a workflow which increases the quality. Kanban also tells about use a workflow so that it increases the quality. Lean thinking also tells about the workflow which increases quality. So this is in summary which how various factors are to be kept in mind while selecting an approach. So I think with this I am coming to the end of the presentation, and we have time now to take up the question and answers.
Yeah, questions are already shared with you. Can you please check them in the questions window?
Okay, so can you tell me other Scrum framework apart from the listed example? So I think this has been already covered in our Agile umbrella. What are the different methodologies that are there currently? Okay, there is something called acceptance driven development. Yeah, acceptance driven development. Why I have not covered as a separate methodology? Because test driven development is a part of extreme programming. So acceptance driven development also becomes as a part of extreme programming technical engineering practice. It is one of the technical engineering practices. In Agile, requirements continuously changing, so not known exact efforts. How to fix commercially for the one project? Is it per hour charges? So the question is, Sheetal said. Yeah, so what you should do in Agile is there's something called the quantum of work, what you deliver. So based on the quantum of work, what you deliver, you charge your client. So how to judge the quantum of work, how do you estimate the quantum of work is something very important. You estimate the one method, one popular way of doing is estimate your quantum of work using story points. You identify how many story points you can deliver in a particular iteration. So based on that, you can charge your client per story point basis. If project charge, then how to determine project charge? Hope this answers your question. Is it something still I have not answered? Sheetal? Okay, can you tell me how to increase this one?
Yeah, if you click on the icon which is given in the top right corner of questions window.
This one?
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
I can't see this question window.
You cannot see the question window?
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
No, it would not be visible to anyone.
Oh.
So if
So
the pop-up has come,
how to make it visible to others?
no, it would not be visible to anyone. So you can read out the question along with the name of the person who has asked and give your answer.
Okay then, fine. Okay, thank you for that.
This is the provision made by GoToMeeting.
Okay. The next question is, how is agile methodology relevant in building healthcare software? Okay, Shruti Sengupta. Yes, it's a very good question. Yeah, I think it's a good question. It's a very valid question. Agile, applying agile in healthcare software is something has to be used with little bit caution. You cannot simply apply what is spoken right now. So there are certain FDA compliance and the compliance based documentation has to be done. So you cannot say that agile says documentation has to be less emphasis, let's have very lightweight documentation. Whatever is needed for compliance, for food and drug administration point of view, that many documents have to be made. And because it is a healthcare, it involves the lives of the people. So let's say X-ray machine or any healthcare system, even a small defect in a bug, a defect in a system will endanger so many lives of people. So there it requires good amount of testing. So you have to use a approach, a balanced approach, which is more suitable for a healthcare project. Need not apply entire in agile way what is spoken just now. Okay, the next question is, would feature A also be like a minimal viable product? This question is from Breitner D'Souza. Yeah, I think that's a very rightly said. It is a minimum viable product. So it is a minimum marketable feature which has got sense to the customer, which has got a sense to the business user, and you select a feature which you could deliver it to the market, which is minimum viable. That is correct. Does the agile approach not impact the architecture of an application, considering that we develop features one by one rather than thinking about the complete bigger picture at the beginning as done in traditional method? Yeah, the question is in agile, since we are developing feature by feature, will it not have an impact on architecture? Because architecture has to be done for entire system, keeping big picture in mind. Yes, it's a very, very valid question. That's why a suggested method is wherever you, when your system has got architecture emphasis is more, you have to have sort of a hybrid approach. So come out with top level architecture and identify the top level architecture and get the sign off from the product owner and customers and get agreed in the team, and don't get into the details of specific features. You can finalize in your initial phases of the sprint what we call as zero sprint. So identify zero sprint or a base sprint and do this groundwork in the beginning before you start working in the working sprints. So identify these dependencies of the architecture between different components and have a top level architecture in place. Then you can detailed design as can be done moved to the in different sprints. Which artifacts are useful as an input to the CMMI audits? So that way, see, when you are following in Agile, it is, if you follow Agile, sticking to the entire Agile values and principles, it is assumed that you are practicing CMMI level 3 practices. So there has been a clear-cut mapping has been done about the project planning, how it is done in Agile, how it gets mapped to different key practices of CMMI. Maybe if you are interested, you can send me mail. I will provide you pointer to these references which provide pointers to all these key practices in CMMI, which you can use it for your audits. Regarding Scrum, when are stakeholders allowed to talk in the sprint review? This question is from Nidhi Setya. Yes, it's a good question, and sprint review is a mechanism where all the stakeholders have to give their views. So in fact they drive the whole show. In fact, they will review the entire working software that is developed by the Scrum team, and everybody is allowed to speak and give their inputs and feedback, and in fact that is the right time for them to provide any feedback that needs to be incorporated. Are predictions and projections possible in Agile projects as expected in CMMI level 4 and 5? Yeah, it's a very, very good question from Basava Shashi Prasad. So predictions and projections, like the way CMMI level 4 and 5 expects quantitative project management, is little bit not so strong in Agile. So, but because Agile focuses more on just enough deployment, just enough JIT mode of development. You don't have to collect a huge organizational database and manage the things quantitatively like CMMI level 4 and 5. So, but the entire Agile process is inbuilt, the framework is in such a way that all your risks and your quality is ensured when you are producing working software. Producing working software as early as possible is the key in Agile, unlike in CMMI level 4 and 5. Next question, in Scrum, no documentation and processes required to follow. Is it correct? Wrong. The question is Mohan Rao. It's not correct, Mohan Rao. It's not like that there are no documentation. When I said people over processes, it is we give more emphasis on people. That doesn't mean that there are no process documents. The difference is that process documents will be there, but only thing they get evolved from one sprint to another sprint, and rather than developing all the artifacts using Big Bang approach in waterfall, we don't do that, and anything upfront we deliver as and when it is necessary. We deliver the related artifacts. That way, design document gets evolved when as you keep doing the detailed designs of each and every feature, the requirements gets evolved, and your architecture gets evolved as and when you deliver in each sprint. So in the end, the test specifications you develop in every sprint, and they get evolved when you do the system testing in the end. So that way, the documentation is more of evolving. They get evolved as and when the different sprints are in progress, rather than doing everything in the end, in the beginning. Okay, next question is, for a vast project or product, how to ensure the outcome of various Scrum teams over the number of sprint results in acceptable ultimate deliverable? Okay, so this is a question from Abhijit Patil. What I am trying to understand from your question is, for a very large project, how the sprint team, how the Scrum team guarantees their outcome such that it does not get impacted. Yes, your question is very, very important. This question is from Abhijit Patil, and more and more teams becomes larger, the agile projects don't become successful. They are more suitable for a medium-sized project, small product, and small projects, and very large project consisting of more number of team members, it becomes challenging to have the Scrum teams and have them in sync. That way, it is suggested more large number of projects and large distributed locations. It becomes a little difficult. There are some challenges. I do agree with you. In Agile, next question. In Agile methods, how the avoidance of rework on information, architecture, design of software is taken care of in a scenario where the features to be developed in the later stages may need significant changes to be done to the design development of features considered in the previous stages, maybe due to the interrelation with the previous developed features, or consideration of information. Oh, big question. Architecture, UI changes to accommodate new features. What I'm trying to understand from this question is from Amit Jain. I think as we keep developing the features, the changes, if they are interrelated to previous feature, how they get addressed. So if that is the question, see, one idea is when you are developing the working features, feature A, B, C, D, E, what we do is we normally identify the dependencies, and based on the dependencies only we prioritize the features. Okay, and let us say you develop the feature A. Now you are developing the feature B. So now you are developing the feature B and you want to showcase the feature B to the customer. Then if it makes sense to see that whether A and B is working, you integrate both A and B and test it and show it to the customer when you are showing the feature B. So that way the dependencies from the previous features, what was developed, gets minimized. So this is a sort of intermittent integration, the approach, rather than integrating everything in the end. This problem comes only when you integrate in the end. If you use an approach of integrating intermittently, then this problem can be minimized. Is Kanban nutshell similar to Mingle project management tool? Priyanka Verma. No, see, I think so what you are talking is two different things here. Kanban is more of a process framework, and Mingle project management tool is a tool used for agile project management. I am not sure whether Mingle also make use of Kanban process framework. If Kanban process framework is also inbuilt in this tool. That tool can be used to manage Kanban projects. So please be aware, Kanban is a process, Mingle project management is a tool. Next question, Basava Shashi Prasad. When the stories are decided in a sprint, how do we control the work in progress items? Okay, this is a good question. What is Shashi Prasad is asking is, in the sprints, how do we control the user stories work in progress? Whereas in sprint, the work in progress is only at the end of the sprint. So what you do is, you at the end of the sprint, how many user stories you will deliver, you will commit, rather than controlling like in Kanban. We don't do it like how the way we do it in Kanban. We commit how many user stories that can be delivered in single sprint, and then we deliver them. Next question. In respect to business analysis, how best the business analyst can use agile methods? What is the rational methods adopted by industry? Can you tell us in terms of percentage? So I'll repeat the question. In respect to business analyst, how best the business analyst can use this in agile methods, and what is the rational and what are the methods ratio? What is the ratio of methods adopted by the industry? Can you tell us in terms of percentage? Okay, so if you heard, there are some different questions in one single question. They're compound questions. So first, coming to the question of business analyst, what I can say is, see, business analyst in traditional project manager can play the role of product owner in agile, and in fact he is the best person to play the role of product owner. Many organizations where I have consulted and trained, coached, they use business analyst because always customer cannot be in front of the team, so someone has to be there who can interact on daily basis from the client to the team. So they identify the business analyst to be an interface between the client and the development team. So business analyst role will change to the product owner role in agile. Most of the business analysts, they do this kind of role in agile. The percentage, I don't have any industry data how much percentage is adopted like that. Maybe in case I get to know, if you can give me your email ID, I can send it to you. Okay, coming to the next question. How products can be delivered as soon as possible when decisions can be taken as late as possible in lean agile method? Oh, very wonderful question. Parthabi Mishra. The Parthabi Mishra is asking a very meaningful question. What he says is, how products can be delivered as soon as possible when decisions can be taken as late as possible in lean agile method. Okay, a relevant answer from my side is, see, when you say delay the decision, it's not delaying inordinately. Don't delay such that your project gets delayed. You should delay in such a way that there's something called, they use a term called last responsible moment. You should know when to how much to delay such that your commitment becomes more effective. If you don't delay it and if you commit upfront when certain facts and certain informations are not available, that also becomes an issue. And if you delay too much, that also becomes an issue. What lean agile says that you delay such a way that your decisions are delayed such a way that you reach a last responsible moment. Then based on the facts you gathered at the time of last responsible moment, take your decisions. That's what it means. Of course, it is what is last responsible moment is something you have to come out for your project team. It comes by experience. There are no standard data for this. Next question from Karan Arora. Can you tell me something about planning poker? Okay, so what Karan Arora is telling is asking, can you tell me something about planning poker? Planning poker is one of the estimation technique used for release planning. That means, what is release planning? When you identify user stories and come out with define a product backlog, the development team has to commit an approximate time, how much time they would need to complete the project. Like the way you do in traditional project, you have to give, let us say 3 months we'll finish 5 features. 6 months we'll finish 10 features. So this exercise is called release planning. This planning poker method helps you to perform release planning in agile methods. Next question, in Scrum methodology, whether requirements SRS is written by product owner or business analyst or entire team, how requirements are different from user stories? Is it possible to have requirements freeze and team do only design, coding, testing during sprint? Okay, very good question. I think the question is asked by Ajay Kushwa. What Ajay Kushwa says that, can we do the requirements freezing and can like traditional waterfall approach, and rest of the activities like design, coding, testing, can we move this only in sprints and freeze the requirements in the initial phase, call it as a requirement freeze? Of course, it can be done, but you have to use it in a caution. The disadvantage of doing this is more suitable if you are clear that requirements are not going to change. There is a more stability in the requirements. Then you can adopt. Rather than, what I would suggest is identify your high level requirements and at least freeze your high level requirement project initiation phase, what we call it as project charter. When you identify the project charter, at least identify your high level requirements and freeze on these requirements. But getting into the details of these requirements, don't do it in the as a requirement phase in the initiation activity. Do all the requirement detailing in the subsequent in the respective sprints. Okay, coming to the in each sprint we do all the activity, requirement design, coding and testing. So in reality it is mini waterfall. You have mentioned that it is not mini waterfall. Then how it is done concurrently? Okay, very good question. So the question is asked by Jai Kumar Tadani. What Jai Kumar Tadani says that, I spoke in the presentation that Scrum is not a mini waterfall, but in reality we do requirements, we do design, we do implementation, we do testing in every sprint. In a way it is waterfall approach. So what way it is different from what I have told? Okay. Answer to your question, it is, don't think that user stories means you do all the requirements of all the user stories and you do all the design of all the user stories. You do the coding of all the user stories you committed in each sprint. It's not like that. So whichever user stories which team feel that they can take based on their competence and based on their clarity, they can select the user story and identify the acceptance test cases before starting the coding, and they start developing the code with the help of the test cases they have identified, and they don't do the testing in the end. when they are identifying the test acceptance test cases, they identify some amount of unit test cases, what is necessary for that particular piece of the code, and they test it and see that piece of code is working, and again they'll identify additional set of test cases necessary for the additional conditions to be met by the code, and again they develop extra code to meet those test cases. That way, on daily basis, the coding testing happens in something called continuous integration. Almost on every day, frequently code gets checked in and tested. The moment it gets just checked in the main repository, it gets tested, and the regression suite gets activated, and the entire build will be tested. So that way, it's not mini waterfall approach. Next question is, how does software estimation work when following the agile approach, considering that we don't elaborate requirements up front? Can we say that agile methods, okay, I will answer this question. The question from Nimesh Dani is, how does software estimation work when following the agile approach, considering that we don't elaborate requirements up front? What Nimesh Dani is trying to ask is, when we don't develop the requirements up front, how can we estimate for the project? Yeah, I think it's the estimation approach done in agile is totally different from the way in which the traditional approach. Example, in traditional approach, let's say function point analysis. In the function point analysis, what you do is you take a set of requirements, perform all the functions, how the user is using, and I come out with the estimate in terms of function points. So in detailed way. But whereas in agile, that is not suggested, because we don't know what is going to happen after few sprints. Suddenly business scenario might change. You have seen my initial slides today in the beginning, how the business scenario keeps changing rapidly. So what customer would have thought should be the features in the roadmap might get changed due to certain changes in the business or due to changes in the market needs. That is why we are not supposed to do any estimate for all the features by doing requirements up front. But release planning, at least you should be able to identify your high level user stories. May not be detailed user stories, high level user stories, which will be part of your release. So the size of those each high level user stories should be known upfront before you plan for the release, which we do as a part of release planning. So that is a estimation approach used in the release planning. That way, once you perform the release planning in the beginning, you will be able to get approximately what time is needed for the project, but you will not be able to know what exactly goes in each sprint. You may be able to decide 10 sprints. Okay, this project will take 10 sprints, but you will not be able to know in each sprint what will go. That will be decided even before each sprint starts. But what we can commit to the client is, this project will take 10 sprints to develop 20 user stories. So that way you have to do the estimation in the release planning, which has to be done in the initial phases. Okay, next question is, can we say that agile methods depend on project to project? Which method is best out of this method? Oh, this question is Daneshwar Kande. Okay, the Daneshwar Kandge is asking question on agile methods changes from one project to other project. I think he means by type of projects. Project to project means it changes from type of project. So that means, can you suggest what are the best method used for different projects? The answer from my side for this is, there is no silver bullet answer for this. You cannot say this method is the best method. These are all agile methods which has to be tried and tested depending on the organization culture. See, agile is not a discipline, it is more of a culture. Agile is, rather than process, is more of a culture, and this culture has to be followed. Which culture suits to your organization based on the characteristics? It has to be tried and tested and adopted. It's a agile adoption journey. So you have to manage this change. Then only you'll be able to know which type of methods will suit. Some organizations may use mix of this process, like they use Scrum and XP. They use Kanban and Scrum. So like that. So it is at least the advantage of this agile methodology is that it will give you different methodologies for you. You pick and choose and you experiment it, fail it fast, learn it, learn rapidly, learn it, then adopt the most effective approach. Next question is, how production support will adopt Scrum? How bug will be treated and track the status? Rajesh Verma. Okay, bug can be treated in supporting environment in agile methodology or Scrum. Suppose you are using Scrum, each bug can be treated as a different user story. So every requirement in Scrum, it should be in the form of user story. Suppose you have bugs, all bugs can be treated as different user stories. Yeah, so I think I'm through with all the questions, and thank you for giving me an opportunity once again and giving a presentation on agile methodologies. In fact, I also learned so many things from your good number of questions. In case you have any questions.
Yeah, although there are a few more questions left, but we are actually running out of time now, so we can take these questions
what
after.
you could do is you can send me a mail for this email ID, okay, and you can send email and I will answer to your question, okay.
We'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mr. Niranjan, for your informative session on agile methods and approaches of perspectives. It was indeed an enlightening session. I would also like to thank our participants for the support in making this webinar a huge success. The recording of this webinar will be made available on techgeek.com by tomorrow. The next session in TechGeek webinar series is happening tomorrow at 3 p.m. Topic for the webinar is higher business ROI through cloud-based testing environment. We'll be having Mr. Ritesh Garg, Senior Manager at Wipro Technologies, as our guest speaker. So see you all tomorrow at 3 p.m. Thank you.
The organ